And hello, everybody. Happy Monday, July 14th. Me and my buddy TJ here on Prop Stars, about to break it down for you. Thank you very much for being here. Like and subscribe, send it out to your friends. And yeah, just like usual, we're going to jump right into it, man. We got a few things to talk about. We're just going to briefly run over. We're going to talk about the amazing win that Yannick Sinner had yesterday over Carlos Alcaraz in Wimbledon. Just a minute there. Talk about the big three from OKC actually getting locked up. And then we're going right into the NFL. Like everything else, nothing else matters. So just to begin, TJ, how you doing today? How you feeling?
No, I'm excited. I feel like we got the fantasy football juices flowing in our big league. We refer to this big league a lot. It's the biggest buy-in for every person that plays in this league. It's their biggest buy-in as well, right? We could talk dollar amounts later. I know we're going to jump into it later, but I think it's important to start off with how we actually built. We built this league over friends, work, coworkers, and we've all became a tight group. A lot of shit talking, but we just picked our pick a couple days ago, and it got the group chat fired up, and it got 12 guys, just the camaraderie and stuff like that. I'm super excited. I picked the fourth pick. I was around middle of the road on where I was able to choose. I think truly the fourth pick right now, which we know could change, is a pick where I want to be. But at least for the first round and maybe the third, who knows after that. But it's exciting. And honestly, we are going to be fully blazing fantasy football, daily fantasy sports, and prop bets from here on out.
Can't wait, man. It's going to be super exciting. So right before we go into the amazing picks and the breakdown of all that, yesterday we did have the Wimbledon final. Yannick Sinner ended up defeating Carlos Alcaraz for his fourth major title. Alcaraz was the two-time defending Wimbledon champion. What made this so incredible is it really is kind of a passing of the torches in tennis. I've been watching tennis my whole life, and through the generations, you always have your incredible pairings or matchups with guys that end up with a rivalry. And I feel like we're looking at this generation's rivalry with Yannick Sinner, Carlos Alcaraz. They're both young. Alcaraz is that crafty, every shot in the bag kind of guy, and his mobility is just off the charts. He literally has every shot. Yannick Sinner is just so strong. He has an incredible serve. And that was the problem yesterday. He pretty much just served Alcaraz off the court. Alcaraz took the first set, and I thought he was going to lose the first couple sets, usually by the way Alcaraz plays. But he actually took the first, and it was Sinner who took a commanding lead 6-4, 6-4, 6-4 to finish it out to complete his first Wimbledon championship. Pretty cool. I think the Wimbledon is kind of like the Masters of tennis. It's just the illustrious tournament. It's the one everybody's always looking forward to and that people dream of. Even getting second place, Alcaraz was very humble, and his humility really is powerful, man, for being such a young kid and to be so self-aware and to be that kind, even in the face of a loss. He just won twice, so easier to say you missed your three-peat and not so bad. But he was very cool. Yannick Sinner, very gracious champion. Honestly, it's probably enough about tennis unless you got something else to say.
Oh yeah, like they're like, yeah, like you said, passing the torch. I'm hoping that there's going to be a third or fourth guy, right? When it was like Federer, Nadal, then like it was like Djokovic, Andy Murray. I think I'm missing one person. I can't remember who, but you just
had Federer, Djokovic, and Nadal were the three that were kind of like trading for the last
Andy
2
Murray
decades.
would always creep in there, right?
Murray was in there. Roddick had his run.
I just feel, and then like Andy Roddick was like early on. I think he stole one, right? But you just hope it's not going to be these two nonstop, because it's exciting, but it's going to get boring pretty quick if it's just always these two in the finals.
So there's other guys like Tiafoe, like there's some other dudes that are out there, right? But these are the guys that you're going to see every single time. They're ranked 1 and 2. Like it's going to be, I think this is only the second time in Open Era that I saw a cool stat that these two played in 2 major finals within the same year. You know what I mean? Because I think they just played in the French Open, then they played in Wimbledon. So pretty cool stuff. I know that you're saying maybe you want a third horse, but I don't know.
Yeah, Alcaraz looks the part too. Like Sinner looks like he just walked out of like chemotherapy, right? Like the guy just and like,
very pale complexion. He's like a redheaded ginger. His name is Yannick. Sounds more Swedish than Italian. I don't know where the allegiances lie. I don't know.
it's so funny because I looked it up and I'm like, Sinner, I go, I know he's Italian. And then I've looked up his nationality like 25 times. Because when I watch it, I'm like, okay, it has an Italian flag, but he definitely doesn't look Italian.
You're like, he doesn't look like a Guinea. He's not a Paisan. Like, it's none of the follow.
His lips are like bleach white. And I remember the first time he played Alcaraz, I'm like, oh, this guy's going to get smoked. And like, it's like funny because Sinner is such a beast.
He really is.
He doesn't really look the part until a tennis racket gets in his hand. And then it's obviously beast mode.
He wears the weird little short hat. I'm like, swag is whatever. You know what I mean?
It's kind of cool though, because the guy is like literally the ultimate class act.
He really is.
It was like 2 rounds before the guy got hurt, and the guy kind of had Sinner on the ropes a little bit. Sinner comes right over, like carries him off the court. So it's just like these new athletes nowadays, like the McEnroes, unfortunately, are gone. Yeah. Because with social media, you just become polished at such an early age. All right, tennis is done. Let's go to the next subject.
Well, they're under the spotlight from the very beginning. I guarantee Jimmy Connors, or like you said, McEnroe, wouldn't be helping off any competitor off the court, or neither would MJ, or neither would these other great athletes of other sports. It's a new generation kind of thing, right?
McEnroe
participation trophy generation, maybe.
Yeah, McEnroe would have jumped over the net and kicked him in the knee.
He would have spit at him, right? Like. All right. So anyways, moving on to the NBA, OKC actually locked up their big three. You had Shai Gilgeous-Alexander with a supermax deal, 4 years, 285. Jalen Williams, 5-year rookie contract, max extension, $287 million. Here's the one that I wasn't sure about. Chet Holmgren gets a 5-year, $250 rookie max. He was averaging 15, 8, 2 and 2.2 blocks. They put the blocks before the assists because the 0.2 is more than the 2 assists, right?
Yeah.
Shai last year was 36-5. Jalen was 21-5. Those are well worth the money. Now, obviously, it's the nucleus. It's what Chet does in stretching the floor,
and that's
his defensive prowess, right? And I figured that's what you're going to talk about. But to give somebody $250 million who's averaging 15, 8, and 2, obvious, those numbers are going to go up. Yes. Do you think it's a fair market value now because it's only get more expensive later?
He's got great touch around the hoop. He is a rim protector, and he stretches the court. Remember, we talked about this a couple of podcasts ago. LeBron, Dwayne Wade, they both used to say Chris Bosh is the engine that kind of keeps us going because he could sit out in the corner and pull out a big man, right? And the per dollar amount thing, we just have to kind of almost ignore, right? The NBA rewards teams if you draft a guy, right? You have dibs on to throw him that bag. And I like how they do that because nobody can really steal him. Now, Is it a hefty price? Yes. But I think OKC is like, we have a window now of 5 years plus, and we're going to take advantage of it. We're going to use the new CBA rules. We're going to keep our own players. And Chet was definitely disappointing through stages of the postseason, but he is still young. He is still wiry, athletic. Like I said,
he weighs 142 pounds.
Yeah. I mean, I wish I had a metabolism like that. You actually do. I do not. But I think that he's a rim protector and he could shoot.
So you don't care that the team's at like a preposterous $822 million, right? None of that matters. $1 billion. It's sports nowadays. Money doesn't matter. You have the nucleus. You got the 3. This is your future. Build around it, and then let them develop. And you're paying for that ceiling. You're paying for the projection. You're paying for the progression because you know he's going to continue, right?
Yeah. You don't. And also, it's crazy about OKC. They have Caruso locked up too, which he is kind of like that veteran presence. I mean, we all know the NBA is fun, and I think it's the best the NBA's ever been. I don't care about ratings. I'm tired of hearing about ratings, but literally, I will be watching the NBA next year because we don't know who's going to win it. OKC will definitely be a favorite, and OKC might win 70 games, but that does not mean they're just going to cruise in the playoffs with just, all these juggernauts going around. Also, interesting about LeBron, I kind of want to get into NFL, but we have to talk about LeBron, right? They're making a big deal about this G League comment he kind of made when he was at the G League game, I think watching Bronny. And one of his broadcaster buddies was trying
to get him to broadcast, right?
Yep. And LeBron said, quote, I ain't got nothing to talk about. And I'm not even going to bring up the whole grammar thing there. LeBron's obviously a very smart guy. He might not be college educated.
Yeah. He's a very smart guy. Every time he opens a book, he's on the first page. If you've ever seen him, I'm just reading this Malcolm X book.
But like,
how long? What's it about? I don't know. I just started.
Yeah, people are busting his chops about double negative. I don't get too damn about that. But I think that he is not the focal point of the Lakers right now. And it sounds like it kind of bothers him a little bit. Now, Cleveland was on the top of the list, and Lakers are fielding calls about LeBron. We have a great source, which you know in the NBA. They are fielding calls, right? And our buddy told us Lakers are listening. I know Cleveland from our other buddy who actually told us about this, who is an amazing source, sits courtside a lot of Cleveland games, said they're offering Garland and Mobley for LeBron. What do you think about that?
I would take it in a heartbeat. You definitely take the upside of Garland and Mobley. They're ridiculous just for an aging LeBron. And like the Lakers clearly had a 6-year plan with LeBron. He was meant to be the face of the franchise. Came in, they got the bubble ring. He got his movie contracts. He was the new Space Jam. He's parlayed everything he can out in the law. Yeah. And now it's time for him to cut curtain and dip. That's it. Just peace out. Go play your extended career for another 5 years in Cleveland with Bronny or whatever you want to do. Doesn't matter, man. Like if I'm LA, I'm definitely trying to get off them. I'm trying to get any asset I can. And if they were really realistically giving me Mobley and Garland, I wouldn't even hesitate. Maybe you slow play and be like, let me just talk to him. Meanwhile, you're like putting the phone on mute, like giving the thumbs up to the team. Like,
yeah.
You have to.
If you're Cleveland, do you give that up? And because Cleveland's pretty deep, right? Because they're gonna still keep DeAndre Hunter, from what I understand. They have Jerome. Obviously, you have Mitchell and Jared Allen. I think that the Lakers are asking for that, and the reason why it hasn't happened is because Cleveland obviously doesn't want to part with two young stars.
They're not going to give away Mobley.
Yeah, like, but
I mean Garland as well, but Mobley is special, man.
But do this for a second, because it's hard to do this. But do this for a second. Ignore LeBron's age, because the guy hasn't slowed down very much.
No, yeah, his numbers are still his numbers, right?
Now, obviously, if you're Cleveland, you don't do that if he's going to play a year.
But Wu-Tang says that'd be a bad move for the Cavs. I mean, we agree, but I mean, you're trying to offset. You're saying ignore the age, but are you really going to sit there and ignore the age and sign LeBron to like a 3 or a 4 year deal and expect those numbers in him to play 65 games every year, right? I mean, that's what you would essentially have to do if you're going to really make it a fair trade.
Yeah. Now, this only works if LeBron guarantees 3 years, right? And he's not really slowing down very much. We saw for the first time him looking a little tired late in games, late in season, but the guy is a physical specimen. Now, when does that stop? Who knows? But the only way that trade works, Wu-Tang, is if LeBron guarantees 3 years. Where's that?
And of course, it's LeBron to Cleveland, right? I see that's the storyline that I know has been more popular from the last 6 months that we've heard, and we'll continue to let that develop. All right, moving on from the NBA. Going right into the NFL, let's begin with the retirement of Ndamukong Suh, huh? Mm-hmm. That guy, I remember, came out of Nebraska, right?
Yeah.
And he was just a nightmare to watch. He had a pretty illustrious career, played 13 seasons. He was drafted by the Lions, went to the Dolphins, the Rams, the Bucks. He got a ring with the Bucks, right? And that was in 2020.
Yeah.
And then, of course, the Eagles. He was a 5-time Pro Bowler, 3-time first-team All-Pro. It was kind of, I guess, I don't know, people are always symmetrical, try to be fitting. It was the 1-year anniversary of his father's death when he announced a retirement. And it's because his father had always told him to just let football go. And I guess that's just knowing he's just such a passionate guy and always wanting to suit up. You know what I mean? Now, as tenacious of a player as he was, Ndamukong Suh had a bad reputation, obviously, from other teams. He was voted in 2012 to be the NFL's dirtiest player amongst his peers. He's had altercations of stepping on people, illegal hits. I mean, whatever. If he's on your team, you don't care about it. But the guy played 100%. He always gave it on the field. And if he was ever on your team, and I always thought he was just a wonder to watch. What do you think about Ndamukong Suh hanging it up?
Yeah, every time I saw him, all I thought
he did step on Rodgers' head. It was like a fish.
Every time and thanks for listening to Wu-Tang, Kevin. I know Gary's out there. Evan, thank you guys. I think every time I saw Sue, all I thought about was that's not a guy I want to see in a dark alley.
100%.
It's like, but and now let's get back to football, right? The guy is, as a D tackle, took up a lot of space. I kind of think it was a disappointing career for him because that's how great he could have been.
Sure.
To only make 5 Pro Bowls, I say only, like, kind of not throwing shade at the guy because I'm terrified if I ever see him.
But he should have been in there every year is what you're feeling.
Yeah, like, and I just think that I kind of look at him as maybe one of the best D tackles of our, over the last 20 years, but only making 5 Pro Bowls.
Out of his decade, he made the all-time team. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
out of his decade.
which is really impressive, right? And like,
Yeah.
I know the NFL players, a lot of it's the All Pro, not the Pro Bowl, right? Because it's like if you're All Pro, you're the best in the league at your position.
Sure.
But I just think that he was an amazing D tackle, and it just shows you, as far as teams go, the goal is always to build, from the trenches on out. And the Lions kind of did that, right? And you just, once you build it like that, you're going to be consistently there year after year after year.
Yeah, man, I thought he did a great job. It's actually pretty cool. He's got his own podcast, and it's an investment strategies podcast. So he's definitely not going to sit there and have the same money problems as some of the other players that we've recently talked about. He also co-founds like 6 different restaurants, everything from like sushi to fish and chips. So he's got his investments out there. You know what I mean?
And he did a cameo in Ballers, and it was a lot like that.
Right.
So it was kind of cool because Ballers always kind of put in real situations and sometimes real players and real people into that situation and call them by their real name. So I thought the cameos were cool, but also the stories were kind of real. So sometimes you're watching, you never really knew what was fiction and what was nonfiction. That's why that show was so great.
Yeah. So moving on from Ndamukong Suh, great career. We had another NFL player made headlines. So just to make another Dallas Cowboy rep the star, making it famous, Kevontae Turpin ended up getting arrested as well. But the most recent one was Quinshon Judkins. All right. Now, this is worrisome. He just won a national title with Ohio State. He was an Ole Miss transfer. He ends up getting like 3 tutties in the ship game, like 2 rushing, 1 receiving, showing jack of all trade skills, 36 pick by the Cleveland Browns. And now he's got a domestic battery charge hanging over his head. Nothing filed yet, all investigatory right now. Not good. He's one of the 30 rookies to not sign a contract yet. And like, I think if you're Cleveland, obviously you're not saying that this is indicative of anything because you got to let the story play itself out. But it is something that is worrisome from maybe Judkins' financial standpoint, because maybe you do lose a few thousand, a few million, whatever it is on your contract, right?
And Cleveland can't make another mistake, right? This is a big game because of what Watson did. And like, you don't want to start, and not, I'm not even gonna say in this era, someone who has 2 daughters, like degrading women and all that. But I always had to say, let this story come out, because let's just give an example, right? Hey, this guy's fighting with his girl and he's trying to walk out of the house because they're fighting, and she's blocking the door, and he tries to gently move her out of the way, and she falls, bangs her head. Thank you so much for listening, guys. Please like and subscribe. But yeah, you're right, Wu-Tang. He did not sign the contract yet, which, hey, some players hold out for more money. But now this gets kind of in that scary territory because we're not going to say it's as violent as Kareem Hunt and Ray Rice, but those guys took.
And Kareem Hunt wasn't violent at all, by the way. Kareem Hunt and Ray Rice are very opposite ends of the spectrum. Kareem Hunt was also on camera, but the way that he tugged or pushed that girl with his foot was a very gray line between a kick. Obviously, you're using your foot and whatever, but perception
I don't
is
know
real.
exactly Kareem Hunt's whole personal life, but that story really screwed him, and I felt really horrible.
100%.
I mean, I'll never
my fantasy teams and everything.
I'll never forget that opening game against the Patriots, Thursday Night Football. To open
He fumbled.
He fumbles right away and then comes back and goes for like 100. Everyone's like, "Oh, Kareem's career is over," and then he comes back and has an historic game, opening day football, and everyone was like, Kareem Hunt, and now he bounced back, right? But did not have the career we were all thinking because.
He could have, man. He lost some very valuable years there.
One incident. And honestly, if you're any kind of athlete right now, especially a young athlete, surround yourself with people that want your best interests because it
100%.
takes one story like this. Let's keep it going though, but it takes one story.
But yeah, well, that parlays right into it, man. So Quinshot Judkins, he's going around like the 20th running back off the board.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He's going to be the starting running back for the Cleveland Browns. And ironically enough, we are covering the AFC and NFC North today for our NFL preview. So we can jump in right there. AFC North, we'll start at the bottom of the division with the lowly Cleveland Browns and their troubles with Quinshon Judkins. They were 3-14 last year. They signed Myles Garrett. Obviously, they got Jerry Jeudy. They got Tillman, right? They got some weapons there, like for receiving. I think that they're going to be bottom of the division again. It's going to be tough. It's such a murderer's row playing an improving Steelers, who Omar Khan's got looking great right now. You got the Bengals in that offense all hemmed up with Higgins and Chase and Burrow. And then you got the class of the division with the Ravens, and they've done a couple of interesting moves as well. But what do you see for the Cleveland Browns? Is it lackluster? What do you think their potential is for the year?
I think that Myles Garrett said he was going to walk, and then they gave him the bag, put it on his doorstep, and said, "You ain't going anywhere." And then
do you have the lines for the teams for projected over-unders, or Gene, if you could bring them up?
Yeah, they drafted a D tackle to help meet Myles Garrett, right? I forget what school it was, a big pick. My buddy Kevin Walsh, he has some, cool little intel there that says Shador is probably out. It's going Flacco, Pickett, 1 or 2, and then Dylan Gabriel maybe as the future. But Shador has buried himself in that depth chart. Unfortunately, I thought maybe he had a chance. But either way, I don't know if it's done for him yet, but that's a pretty competitive quarterback room. And
can't even make the room in a Cleveland Brown quarterback room.
I know, but that's also tricky, right? Because maybe he is the second best quarterback. Maybe he is the first, but they're just like everyone says distraction. We don't even know if he's a distraction now. Every time I watch him, he's just out there making throws and just trying to be the best he can be. But yeah, the Browns are in trouble. That division is murderer's row. And
how many wins do you have the Browns up?
Yeah, I was looking at their schedule. I'm gonna say
you're going 0-6 in the division, right?
Yeah.
You think they get one? You think they split with Cleveland? They play Bengals close. Maybe they get one with Cincy?
Yeah, like Myles Garrett, the best defensive player maybe in the NFL right now. He's a tough guy. Browns are 4.5. Yeah, I'm laying off that. Like how much I love the Jets at 5.5 and a couple others. To me, the Deshaun Watson trade contract is burying that team. And it's going to take years for them to recover. I'm shocked that Myles Garrett took that stand about how he's not re-signing or not coming back not going to be a Cleveland Brown, and then just took the money. Because if you care at all about winning, that Deshaun Watson
you're out of there. Yeah, of course.
That Deshaun Watson contract is just destroying you.
That's just crazy, man. All right. So what do you think? We got, pardon me, Cincinnati Bengals next. They were 9-8 last year.
Yeah,
they're notorious slow starters. Their defense was definitely a problem last year. They do have a new defensive coordinator who I wanted to note, Mr. Al Golden. I mentioned the contract, the extensions for Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. And then they do have Orlando Brown Jr. to shore up the offensive line and give Joe Burrow some protection.
Yeah.
Bengals at 9.5.
Love the over.
It's going to be tough, right? They were 9-8 last year.
Yeah.
They're literally pegging it at the exact same.
Yeah, I think they go 10-7, 11-6. I think that Joe Burrow will not have a slow start. Joe Burrow will be healthy.
Game one, they play the Browns.
Yeah, that's 2 wins. Chalk it up right there. I was watching the quarterback show on Netflix that just rolled out, and they didn't talk about this yet, but Cincinnati had historically the worst defense in the NFL, but they literally almost made a run and made the playoffs, and if they did, nobody would want to play them in the playoffs. I think this year they don't start slow because it's in their head. They got T. Higgins and Jamar Chase locked up. Joe Burrow is going to be a Bengal for life. I think that Chase Brown, from what I understand, will be back, right? His injury wasn't major, right?
No, Chase Brown is going one of the top running backs in fantasy football. And I do like I like Joe Burrow. I like Joe Burrow as a dark horse, not even dark horse, as a lead MVP candidate. I think the guy's definitely got the weapons and has the capability to go 50 plus tutties he can go nuts. You know what I mean? He's got sneaky legs. He's mobile. And he can complete the most passes. He can throw the most yards. He can throw the most touchdowns. Those are all MVP enticing, categories.
It was kind of cool watching him on the quarterback show too. Like his dad played for Ohio, coaches for Ohio, defensive coordinator. His dad was always recruiting. So he's close with both of his parents, but he was really tight with his mom. And his mom's like, I never taught him how to do chores because he was just such a good athlete that we just want him to focus on sports. But now the guy still doesn't know how to operate his washer and dryer. It's kind of funny. And
that's kind of crazy.
He's one of those guys, but hey, I give his parents props on that. Like, who cares? Like, when you have such an athlete, you take care of everything. Let your son focus on what he's great at, and you help him out with the daily chores. And obviously, it's paid off. And he's
what a life, huh?
A good guy, but he's also tough as nails. Like, I don't know if you remember this, but it was one of his first games. He threw a pick 6 when he played for LSU against UCF, and he got cold cocked. And they were interviewing Jamar Chase's mom and dad, who were sitting with Joe Burrow's mom and dad, both playing for LSU, which was scary because he was actually throwing the Justin Jefferson on that play, I'm pretty sure.
Of course.
And they go, we knew Joe Burrow was the guy at LSU because the way he got his clock cleaned at the UCF game after he threw the pick 6, and he just got up and went to the sidelines, fuzzy as hell, and came back in, and they won that game. But the guys,
our local Bengal analyst has mentioned a couple of rumors about Trey Hendrickson trade potentially to the Vikings and reuniting Justin Jefferson to the Bengals as like a blockbuster. And obviously these are rumors. That would be something that would be incredible if JJ ever left. And Trey Hendrickson would be, I guess, a decent piece to talk about it. Obviously there has to be a lot more to be there, but that would be a dream scenario for Burrow to be able to reunite with Chase and Jefferson. It's never going to happen. But it was worth to mention because whenever you hear things like that, you're like, man, how could we get that kind of deal done? And Trey Hendrickson could be on his way out, and the Bengals, I don't know. It's kind very of curious, though.
We did have that in college football, and Joe Burrow broke every record, like literally threw 70 touchdowns, and maybe the greatest offense we've ever seen in the history of college football. So super
right.
cool.
I don't know if the NFL would let that happen, like the Chris Paul trade being canceled, right? Something like that. Yeah. So you got the Bengals taken care of. All right, moving on to Omar Khan's Steelers. I know we've been kind of circling around them because we have some connections there. Of course, they go out and draft Caleb Johnson, right? I think he's a great flyer for running back. He's taken over that Najee Harris role. They did end up with Aaron Rodgers, Jonnu Smith, DK Metcalf. I thought the most important things were the signings of Jalen Ramsey and Darius Slay, right?
Yeah.
Those are just guys that when you say those two guys on your team, that's instant improvement.
Yeah.
And the way that they've kind of crafted these moves in almost a slow roll fashion, nothing rushed. They didn't overpay. They just kind of did this, that, and the other. I told you about that Omar Khan trade and the way they ended up getting Joey Porter, the way they traded away Claypool for a second-round pick, like one of the biggest fleeces in trade history. The Steelers are something to mess with. They're 8.5. I like the over. I definitely like the over. I got them at 10, even in that division. I think they're definitely a potential, right?
I think Rodgers is now 2 years removed from this injury. I think top to bottom, Omar Khan has built this roster, and it could be the best in the NFL when it comes top to bottom. Also, now you have cornerbacks that instinctually are maybe the two. I mean, their instincts are amazing. They're both physical.
You're saying is better than Minka. You like the situation better than Minka, right?
Yeah, I just rather have a physical corner than a safety in this day and age. Now,
well, they're lockdown corners. Minka played a lot on his, kind of like Troy Polamalu, a lot of his instincts, and he made a great impact. The guy was incredible his first year there.
Minka was amazing, but I just think the Steelers are taking their shot. You know what I mean? And this is a year where Aaron Rodgers is going to, I think, look like the 35-year-old Aaron Rodgers and not, the 40-whatever-year-old Aaron Rodgers.
Sure.
And I think that with a two tight end set with, I think Freiermuth and Jonnu Smith are going to be on the field a lot together. I think DK Metcalf, super physical guy, great run blocker. It's not going to be the sexiest. I'm not taking Rodgers in any fantasy league, but I think that guy's going to run that offense. And I think it's going to be really fun to watch. And Pittsburgh's going to be a team that they're going to maul you in the trenches. They're going to jam your receivers. And when it gets to November, December, January, and the field's a little slicker and the field's a little colder, you keep Steelers outdoors, which pretty much almost every team in the AFC, every good team in the AFC is cold weather teams. I would not want to mess with the Steelers in the playoffs.
How many points do you think the Steelers average a game this year? Because like you saw what like Aaron Rodgers did with the Jets, and their points per game are always a little bit lower because he's not opening it up. It's not like he has Jordy Nelson or Devontae Adams and he's chucking it down the field, right? It's more of a matriculate. It's, you take your shots. He had Devontae Adams last year, obviously, and there was a huge game. He had like 0 in the first half, 200 in the second. He breaks out. He's got Garrett Wilson running all over the place. We talked about how he was sneaky great. It's like even those guys getting the numbers, their points per game were still rather low. And I feel like the Steelers could be.
And that's why you have Aaron Rodgers, because down the stretch, you want a leader, you want a veteran quarterback that knows what plays to make, when to throw it away. And so this team's going to be scary. Kevin Walsh likes the over. I like the over.
10, right?
Now the problem is can you penetrate the Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, Joe Burrow? Can you penetrate that with a 40-something-year-old quarterback? I think you can with that roster. That defense, once they get Watt back, is going to be scary. Really scary. I mean, Jesus, Porter's going to be like their nickel cornerback.
That's ridiculous.
Going to be crazy. And
it's going to be scary.
Yeah, it's going to be scary.
And then we'll go ahead right into it, talking about the class of their division, the AFC North champions with the Baltimore Ravens. They did get Chidobe Awuzie, CB. They got Hopkins, Ronnie Staley. Obviously, they got nothing but green light. I love Derrick Henry again this year. They got Zay Flowers now with Hopkins. They still got Bateman, who's going to be flying around.
Bateman was likely very important for that team. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's the guy that you put out wide and just send him on streaks all day long. You have like the big three, right, with the Lamar Jackson, Derrick Henry, Zay Flowers. Flowers is shifty.
Andrews is still balling. He came out big last year. It was likely that started early. They got 2 tight ends.
11.5, which is crazy, right?
They won 12 last year.
I know, but that's what's kind of crazy, right? You'd have to, our executive producer.
Taking the over.
Yeah. The one that put us on the big stage is taking the over, which is crazy because if you like the over, you can't say you like him at 12 wins, right? You got to say you like him at 13 or 14.
100%.
This is the thing with Lamar Jackson. He has gotten better every year, but also he's always had that one kind of fault, and every year he's fixed it, right? Yeah. This year is, can he hold on to the ball?
Sure.
Right? It was, he's throwing bad interceptions. He stopped doing that. Then it was, he couldn't throw the deep ball. Now he knows how to throw a deep ball. Now, because he had some big turnovers late, now it's going to be, can Lamar Jackson, but do you remember that game against the Bills?
Well, you were telling me it's a really cool story. I want you to just go ahead and highlight it. Like you were sitting there with your kid and you were saying, all right, buddy, go ahead. Take it from the top.
Yeah. Kate and I were watching the game and I go, he had Lamar Jackson in fantasy football. So everything was over by then, right? But we're saying, all right, this is Lamar Jackson. He's got 2 minutes to go, no timeouts. He's got to go 90 yards. Let's see what Lamar Jackson's got. And he literally marched him right down the field against the Bills. And unfortunately, Mark Andrews dropped that little out route.
He thought he was going to go out, and he was more worried about the bounds than the catch. Yeah. And if you give it to him 9 more times, he catches all 9 of them.
He catches that ball. But Lamar Jackson manned up and went 90 yards with no timeouts in under 2 minutes. It was an incredible thing to watch. To me, a legend was born that day. And, I think this is finally the year where the Chiefs step aside, and it's either good. I mean, it's kind of unfortunate that we can't see Lamar Jackson, Joe Burrow, Josh Allen, and these guys in the Super Bowl every year because, Patrick Mahomes has kind of ruined it for him, right? This year, I think
such a murderer's row. And whenever you get to the NFC and you talk about the quarterbacks, it's crazy because Jalen Hurts, the reigning Super Bowl champion, and he doesn't even crack the top 4 when most people talk about the Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, Lamar Jackson, Jalen Hurts. You know what I mean? And he's got the ring right now.
I feel very lucky that we're going to be able to watch these guys for the next 10 years. But now Joe Burrow said something interesting in this quarterback show. on Netflix. He's like, the first 5 years kind of went quick. And he goes, when you're in your first or second year, you're like, okay, I got 5 years. And he went to the Super Bowl, right? He lost, but he went there. And now Burrow's like, now I'm like going on my 6th year, right? And now in a couple years, it's going to be 10 years. And then I'm going to play 15 to 20 years. That's what he said. But it goes kind of quick. So, these guys are in their head. And we know Josh Allen, who's amazing. I'm not going to say he's in his own head. But Josh Allen's like, I got to get to the Super Bowl. But I feel bad for the guy because the guy cannot go to the Super Bowl for the next couple of years. He's still an amazing quarterback, but only one can go. And it literally is like one play. Lamar Jackson, it's the Mark Andrews kind of drop. Josh Allen, it's the bad spot. Now, I'm not making excuses for these guys, and all of these guys are very highly accountable too. Joe Burrow is extremely accountable at the highest level. The guy puts everything on him, and it's not just bullshit. He literally, when they got robbed against the Chiefs on that bad call on this quarterback show, he goes, obviously at first you're so upset, but then you just look back and you're like, wow, I could have been better. Is that Lombardi quote that it's his like most famous quote. He says, well, if we chase perfection, it's something like we'll chase perfection every day and we'll be the best we can be if we do that, right? Sure. You're never going to be perfect, but you just chase perfection. Yeah. And Burrow and Goff, I think both talked about that quote, but you're always trying to chase perfection, right? And as a quarterback, you're always going to look at, instead of blaming the ref, always look back and say, hey, what could I have done different? And that's what all these quarterbacks do. That's why we all love them, right? These guys just stand there and don't point fingers. They just take.
So isn't it crazy if you think about this? You got Lamar Jackson, multiple-time MVP, Aaron Rodgers, MVP, Joe Burrow, potential MVP. 3 nasty quarterbacks in that division. But you did just mention Joe Burrow in tandem with Jared Goff, who happens to be the QB general of the Detroit Lions, the winners of the NFC North. Our segue for the next North Division. They did get Tyreek Williams. Now, that's nasty because they also had Jared Verse, who's the defensive rookie of the year last year. Yeah. And they got Aiden Hutchinson. So they got a disgusting defense.
Look,
they got Dan Campbell. They got offense. Say it again.
When did Hutchinson get hurt last year? It was early on.
Early to mid-season, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because he came back, remember? He was supposed to come back. Aim small, miss small. If you aim for the best of the shortcomings, it'll be better than 99.9%.
Yeah.
Mr. Schneider, thank you very much.
No, I agree. Now, look, the Lions got rolled up on against the Commanders, right? And I think that obviously no Hutchinson. They tried to improve that defense. That offense is, let's just assume that losing their offensive coordinator won't affect things too much. But Goff, Gibbs, Montgomery, Porta, Amon St. Brown, Jamison Williams, going to be scary. Defense, there's no way that Dan Campbell lets that defense be that bad again. That team will win 12, 13, 14. They won 15 games last year.
Won 15.
And
throw up the line, Gene.
I love how Goff, do you know this big thing in Detroit? It's Jared Goff, and everyone starts chanting it. They had a Green Day concert, and they had 50,000 people. Jared Goff. All of Detroit loves this guy. They're at a hockey game. Goff's not even there. Jared Goff. They're in the draft. Jared Goff.
Take the 10.5 all day.
They love this guy. The Rams disrespectfully discarded him, and everyone thought they were sending Goff out to the pasture, right? And the guy comes back and literally wins 15 games and cements himself as a very good quarterback in the NFL.
You had him on your fantasy team last year, right? As well as he's still going highly disrespected super low this year. With all those weapons, that team only at 10.5. Or 10, whatever it is. I like the over. I like the Lions. Repeat the division.
They won 15 games last year. I'm taking the over 10.
I'm taking the over. 100%.
They're going to win 13-14. That offense is unstoppable. Jamison Williams flying down the field. Amon St. Brown doing little zig routes, drag routes.
They still got Laporta.
You got Laporta who can block and can catch.
So this also segues into your 4th pick. You were talking about in our league, in the big league, that you got the 4th pick, and you are potentially looking at one of these players who's one of the stars of this team. I've also heard clamorings he might be the number 1 RB in all of fantasy with Jahmyr Gibbs. You
Yeah.
think he's got that kind of potential, that kind of pop? You think he can
Yeah.
lead them? They still got David Montgomery. You love the 2-headed monster.
Yeah, the Montgomery poaching touchdowns doesn't scare me at all because Gibbs is that explosive, and Montgomery can't stay healthy. I think that the team's deadly, but that's why I've mastered another just master selection. I'm picking 4th. There's 4 top players in fantasy this year. Jefferson and CeeDee Lamb, I think, just kind of missing out there. But
edge.
It's not in this order, but it's Jamar Chase, Saquon, Bijan Robinson, and Jahmyr Gibbs. I'm taking one of those 4. I'm not going to have much of a choice there because whichever one 4 drops. Now, some people are saying Jefferson or CeeDee Lamb could creep into that 4. I don't really trust Jefferson with McCarthy yet, but Jefferson's Jefferson, right? But
he's proven to be QB proof for sure.
Yeah, and I just don't know if Jefferson.
We're about to talk about them too. So
yeah, so we'll go right to that. But I just think that we're gonna jump into fantasy. Let's talk about the Vikings. Jordan Addison, Aaron Jones.
Jordan Addison with the DUI. You know what I mean? You think it's gonna have anything to do with it? July 12th, they got popped. You got JJ McCarthy leading the way. They did get Donovan Jackson, offensive guard. Obviously, it's going to be protecting their young kid. They had 14 wins last year. What do you think this year? I mean, that's a lot. And Darnold, Fitzmagic, our wonderful producer, his darling pick for these last couple of years. He's been kind of cultivating his career and coddling his balls. I think that he's definitely – I think he's due for some regression. I don't think JJ wins 14 games. I got the Vikings looking at probably like 9 to 10. They could get over.
We'll know. Oh, and Buff, just so you know, I can hear the pen clicking nonstop. I thought it was me at first. I think that it's going to be all on McCarthy, right? The Minnesota head coach, he's an offensive genius. They've made Sam Darnold look great. I know that Jeff had this. I'll never forget. Jeff Schneider's lead pipe locks was when it was Minnesota, Detroit. Over, which I co-signed on all those, to be fair. And Sam Darnold just came out indoors in the biggest game so far of his career and just literally
laid eggs.
There was one play where Justin Jefferson runs like a 15-yard in route and just snaps the guy off, and the Darnold sails the ball over the guy's head. And then the next play bounces the ball on the same route. But yeah, I agree, Kevin. JJ McCarthy, we're not a believer yet. We got to see it. Everyone talks about that one preseason throw he had where he hit that little, I think it was like a wheel route on the sideline, and McCarthy throws a dot. But let's be real. Every quarterback in the NFL could throw a 50-yard dot. So can he do it on 30 attempts a game through 17 games? I don't know. Harbaugh kept him very constricted in college, right? So we didn't get to see much. But the guy surprisingly rose through the draft, and the guy has the coaching right there with him, with Harbaugh in college, and then the Vikings head coach.
He's got Kevin O'Connell, right?
Yeah, O'Connell. Right. So I just think that it's going to be a lot on McCarthy, but he's got a lot of weapons. Addison and McCarthy, besides Jamar Chase and Higgins,
and they get Hawkinson back healthy, right?
Hawkinson, right? That's a scary division.
It's a huge deal, man. He was balling last year whenever he was doing well, or whenever he was healthy. I mean, all right, and then we got who? We got the Chicago Bears. Bears, 5-12. Of course, they get Colston Loveland, another weapon, first-round pick for Caleb Williams, right? They get Joe Thuney. They got Jonah Jackson, a couple of guards to protect their young guy. Caleb Williams, we talked about it, forever going to be arm in arm with Jaden Daniels. Their careers and trajectory will be measured. I think the Bears have so much pop. They're at 8.5. Right,
which is scary. That's the same as the Vikings, right? Kind of weird because the Vikings.
And I like the Bears more than I like the Vikings this year.
Really? Wow.
I mean, I do. I think there's going to be growth, man. I think Caleb Williams is a stud. I think he's going to be a pedigree quarterback, and I think that we're going to continue to see growth and progression from him. I don't think he takes a second-year dip, and I think that the Bears continue. I can see them clipping 9. That's a fair game. obviously there's so much we have to see from that offense because it's just so pretty on paper.
Yeah,
Right.
it's
And that was kind of the
pretty
thing
on,
last year is it looked so good on paper, but at the end of the year, they did start to click.
it's pretty on paper, and I know we're kind of we're bringing up Jeff a lot here, but which I hate to do, but we'll talk about him anyways. But
Swenson says very tough schedule for the Bears.
yeah,
I agree.
but listen, Jeff quotes Bobby Bowden a lot in this quote, and I think it's really important when it comes to football. You lose big, you lose small. You win small, you win big. Where are the Bears right here? The Bears are still losing big. They're not going to go from 5-12 to 12-5, right? They might win 9 or 10 games, but that's a huge jump. I'd much rather have a team like the Vikings, who obviously proven they can win, instead of Caleb Williams, who hasn't proven he can win at any level yet, right? Because he was so great for USC. He wasn't really a true winner there, right? And then he comes to the Bears. We all know he's sexy, and he could throw 35-yard, no look down and out to the opposite sideline.
Got great legs.
Jaden Daniels is just throwing like screen passes and running for.
He's got a good attitude. He was getting chastised for the whole comment. Don't want to play for the Bears. He's there.
I do think Caleb Williams can be great.
Last year was Lou Small, Swenson.
Okay, and Swenson, Jeremy, I kind of agree with you there, right? Because that Hail Mary play changed the trajectory for Caleb Williams and Jaden Daniels. I agree there. So that could be where I'm a little wrong, right? So they're at the lose small. So now they're going to be at the win small level, which means that's going to be a 9-10 win. Now they could be good and not win, right? Because that's how tough that division is. And as Jeremy Swenson said, true Bears fan, we'll love to get him on the show one day. With that schedule being so difficult, I think they're a year away. But we'll see.
All right. That's the NFC North. And we both still have the Lions winning that division. And for the AFC North, we got the Ravens winning that division. Is that correct? We kind of like repeats on both of those. I know I do. I'm speaking for myself for sure.
Yeah.
All right. So I know that we got a few minutes left. Let's go ahead and talk about this league, the draft order. Do you want to break it down for everybody here? Kind of, you prefaced it.
We already talked about it, right? So you pick our picks in our big fantasy league. So I want to just kind of go almost pick by pick. We're looking at a top 50 by Mike Clay. The guy is obviously a fantasy genius. So let's go with let's bring in the top 5, right? You have Jamar Chase, Bijan Robinson, Justin Jefferson, Saquon Barkley, Jahmyr Gibbs. I think Jefferson's really not third there, but it doesn't matter the order, right? Buff, if you have the first pick, who do you like?
Man, I was thinking, because in our league, I'm 10. I'm kind of glad I don't have to make any of those choices.
Yeah.
And some things are going to, you're presented with value and what's going to be falling, right? I think if you're looking at number 1, it's clear-cut Jamar Chase. It's crazy to think that the Bengals still have meat on the bone, but they do. And they're only getting better, and they still have room to grow. And they got things locked up, and their defense is getting better. And I think that they don't even start slow this year. Like you said, I think they come out balling. And I think that Jamar Chase has an opportunity to eclipse 2,000 yards. I think there's only a few receivers that can eclipse those kind of numbers. I think you're looking at, Tyreek Hill. You're looking at Chase. You're looking at Jefferson. These are like, CeeDee Lamb. Like, these are the guys that have the potential that can go ballistic, that can go nuclear. He's one of them.
And also,
if you're picking number 1, it's Jamar Chase.
And also with fantasy this year, I think the running backs are a little deeper than the wide receivers, which we haven't said that for a long time, right? We'll talk about
it was a renaissance last year for running backs.
So, if you're Jamar Chase 1, then I think it's going to go Bijan Robinson or Saquon 2, right? 3. And then you have, so you go Jamar Chase, Bijan Robinson, Saquon Barkley, Jahmyr Gibbs.
We can say the same thing about Saquon, right? Because everyone's talking about the whole Saquon regression. And, you can't repeat it, and it's not going to happen. And, I'm even seeing in mocks, it's way too early, but I'm seeing in mocks now he's still dropping down past 5 sometimes. And you're talking about a guy who could easily run 2,000 yards again and get more touchdowns that were vultured from him, right?
Yeah, he's in the prime of his career. They're going to be playing from ahead. They have a great offensive line, great play calling. They got a lot of weapons on the outside, and you have to worry about the run threat with Jalen Hurts. You see Saquon, that was a difference with Saquon. His runs were so effortless.
Right. He wasn't even getting touched 5 yards up the field. With the Giants,
So,
he was getting hit right away.
yeah. Does Saquon do what he did last year? I don't know. But he's an amazing top 5 pick. We take him all day long. This is where it gets interesting, right? So let's just say for argument's sake, Justin Jefferson goes 5th, right? Now the next 6 through 10, CeeDee Lamb, Puka, Neighbors, McCaffrey, Amon-Ra, St. Brown. Do you like that order? Ish.
I think Neighbors is going higher and higher on my draft board. The more
You
and more
like
I look.
Neighbors over CeeDee Lamb?
No. I'm just saying he's going higher and higher on my draft board. So I kind of tier him up.
Okay.
I think he kind of sneaks up. Like Neighbors or Amon-Ra St. Brown right now or who I'm saying are kind of who I'm like flip-flopping in between, because you have this whole incredible floor from Amon-Ra and you know what you're getting. He's been like the number 3 receiver, but Neighbors is also like the one guy who could catch 160 balls. You know what I mean? If
I just don't trust
the offense is going to be the same, and if they're going to be in garbage time and losing, he's one of those few receivers that is going to get that much work. Out of that grouping, I definitely like Puka and CeeDee Lamb next for my pick.
Yeah.
And I think Puka gets a lot more room because he gets Devontae, and CeeDee Lamb gets Pickens. And Dak is healthy. He's a bounce back. They're kind of a bounce back team. It's all about the ebbs and flows with the Cowboys. You can chalk them down for a big year this year.
Yeah, I think CeeDee Lamb breaks 1,500 yards. I love CeeDee Lamb.
Easily, I think.
Puka, I kind of like Devontae Adams in the 3rd round more than I like Puka in the 1st round, right? But Buff, let me just ask you this. You're at the 10 spot. Give me somebody that you hope, like you're like this, like, oh, I hope he's available at 10. And then give me somebody that like I'm
at the 10 spot. I hope CeeDee Lamb is available. Yeah. Is what I really hope, because there's like a middle ground where you can make a case. Jamar, Bijan, Justin Jefferson, Saquon, Gibbs, all go ahead.
Yeah.
Okay. Now you're looking at that scary. Like if somebody is looking at Devon A-Chain, CeeDee Lamb, I think, I don't know, maybe you're a Dolphins homer. It's a live draft this year. You know what I mean? It's not, we're picking off the stickers. It's not going to be what the computer's telling you to pick. I'm just saying, I definitely think that if I'm picking at 10 and somebody who I wish was going to be there, right now it's looking like it's either Amon-Ra St. Brown for your receiver is going to be consistently there. You can go down a spot or two with Devon A-Chain. You might be able to get Ashton Genty. And Ashton Genty is that guy who is the one who you hope is there. He's going to be a workhorse running back. They got Brock Bowers. He's a feature guy. He's shown this incredible ability, break tackle. Every video I see, he's dunking in one video. His hops are out the roof in another. He's super fast. The guy just looks like the next pedigree, the next elite running back, right? The next, prototype. I think that if Genty falls to you at 10, it's going to be real tough to pass on him. And to take a Malik Neighbors or an Amon-Ra St. Brown over a Genty who just looks like he's going to be getting so much volume.
Are you definitely taking Genty over like a Derrick Henry?
And that 10 spot, I think that you kind of flirt with that quandary, because you get the comeback, and there is a real potential already in mocks I've seen where you can get Genty and Henry if you want it. You can also get if Genty goes, you can get A-Chain and Henry. You can get Amon-Ra and Henry. You can get Neighbors and Henry. Like Henry seems to be there now. If somebody else gets him, there's plenty in that little bubble. But you just like Henry. I've seen Henry go as high as 3rd in other people's drafts. He's definitely somebody.
By the way, I mean,
if you take Henry in the top 5 and you go and pluck him from 14th overall or wherever you have him, slotted in, that's completely your prerogative, and there's no qualms from here. The guy can rush 1,800 again this year, no problem, and he's not going to get the passing work, but he's definitely chalked in for like 12 to 15 rushing touchdowns.
It's just ridiculous, dude. He had 325 carries for 1,921 yards and 16 touchdowns.
And 1,800 is lowballing it.
That's including the postseason. That's insane that on Mike Clay's board he's at 18, but I think they're still waiting for the, too much tread on the tires, all that kind of stuff. All
So
right.
there's a real potential that he could come back. You know what I mean?
What about
That's why,
Christian McCaffrey?
you know, I actually I had him one league. I had him in one league last year. Got snake bit, and as you're looking at him, that's going to be somebody's really tough decision who's drafting at that like 5 through 8 bubble.
Yeah.
Is because C-Mac's going to be staring you in the face, and he could easily be a league winner, and he could sit there and catch 90 balls and be a healthy Shanahan offense running back with a lack of Debo. You know what I mean? So there's more work there, and Ayuk has just taken this crazy dive off a cliff, right?
And
And
also,
Jennings is up, and you got the Ricky Pearsall is up. I mean, that offense, like they gave Purdy, right? They paid him.
yeah.
So I mean, so here we go. This is again the Christian McCaffrey show, and you're getting him at a tremendous value. Kind of like, God, if you imagine if you have Saquon or McCaffrey, you know what I mean? Like you have to pick. Obviously, you go Saquon, I think, but like Saquon is the easier pick, but McCaffrey seems like he could even have a higher ceiling.
Let me tell you why. I'm going to tell you, well, first of
The
all, I
injury,
don't know
man.
if you know this, but breaking news, Jawan Jennings either wants a new contract or wants to get traded, which is crazy, even though he had some big games. But listen to this.
Let's say Jennings is out of there. There's more work for McCaffrey.
I love Christian McCaffrey for 3 reasons. 1, no Debo Samuel. 2, no Jordan Mason. 3, Shanahan and Lynch are a little bit not on the hot seat, but they got to bounce back this year, right? So
you know one thing too? I think that they know they have to use them.
Yeah,
I think they
right?
this is their last year, right? You just sit there and run them into the ground. This is it.
And I think that the usage we're not worried about. It's can he stay healthy? Because also when Christian McCaffrey gets hurt, he doesn't come back that game. He's missing 4 to 6 weeks, right? That's it. I'm not saying the guy's soft. It's just when he gets hurt, it's just not a small injury. I think because the guy's maybe so tough, he fights through the little ones, and then it just pop, and now he's out 4 to 6 weeks. That's why McCaffrey's going 10th, 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th, 15th, because he can't stay healthy.
I think he drops a little bit in our league. Like I could see people, because you know our league.
Yep.
The number one, anybody who's there and listening to us talk about this, it's one of the most important things if you have a long time league is knowing the propensity of other draft players and how they prefer, how they favor, and things that they might not value the same that you do. And I think McCaffrey could slip. If McCaffrey slips to me at 10, I would take McCaffrey at 10. You know that, right? Like 100%.
There's no Jordan Mason. There's no Debo. Like now, I remember watching McCaffrey a little bit last year kind of get bundled up. Like, you know what I mean? Like those ones that were always he's running in space. I didn't know if he maybe lost a little bit of a step. I doubt it, but maybe he was just kind of hobbled. But either way, okay, let's kind of go 11 to 15 now in this order per Mike Clay. Ashton Genty 11, A-Chain 12, Nico 13, Brian Thomas Jr. for Jacksonville 14, A.J. Brown 15. What do you think about that?
Man, it's kind of tough because I like Nico more than Brian Thomas. I can't pass on C-Mac. I can't. I hear you, Walsh. I like Brian Thomas Jr., but I like the quarterback situation, I guess, a little bit better in Houston. I just trust Stroud more than T-Law. I think Trevor Lawrence, this is the year. This is the year. Jeff Schneider, I was talking about you last week. Are we going to have any other better situation for the all-time prospect, Trevor Lawrence?
Yeah.
Here he is. His hair is getting longer. His jawline is stronger. I mean, what are we going to do? Is he going to throw 35, 40 touchdowns? Is he actually going to get over the 4,000-yard bubble? Is he going to keep it under 10 picks? Can they get 11 wins? Can they get 8 wins? You know what I mean? Like, what are they going to do? And they got Travis Hunter. I don't know. Do you think he's a distraction? Do you think he's more of an anomaly? Do you think he's a difference maker? I think I'm getting all kinds of vibes off of him, right?
I can't wait to watch him play because we'll find out. It was very tricky watching him in the Big 12 because you saw him just run around.
But I love Brian Thomas is my point. Like that's why the whole conversation comes up because he should definitely be taking a step forward with Travis Hunter and Trevor Lawrence.
I could be honest with you. I don't even know if I'm taking Brian Thomas Jr. at 20 if I had a choice at 20. Brian Thomas
at
Jr.
20.
Yeah. I don't. Okay. I'm not convinced Brian Thomas Jr. is going to have the same year. I don't know, but we'll see.
You feel regression for him.
Yeah.
You think he goes down and doesn't take that leap forward.
He disappeared.
He's another LSU guy. He's literally one of the boys.
And I liked him last year, but a couple things that I saw.
You loved him in best ball last year, though.
Yeah. And I had him in our big league. What about A-Chain?
I love A-Chain this year. No Jonnu now. I think that you're kind of worried about the injury and his size, but it's shown like, man, it's so tough when you have a running back. And I know it's a lot of them, but like he is very much predicated on Tua Tagovailoa being in the backfield.
Yes.
It's a different game for him because of the timing. And he's such a pass catcher. And, McDaniels wants to scheme him in. I think he's got nuclear capability. He can definitely finish RB1. He can catch a ton. He's got breakout speed. His speed is crazy. I think he's one of the undervalued guys. I'm definitely looking at him at 10. If he does fall to me at 10, he's somebody who I'm for sure in the conversation with. You're just so worried about Tua, and you just don't want him, to get hurt and have things happen because it's a different team whenever he's out. Tyreek's a different receiver when he's out. He's getting a lot of good value too. I do love A-Chain though this year, 100%.
Yeah, Kevin, Travis Hunter right now looks like he's like 5th, 6th, 7th round ish for Travis Hunter.
Yeah.
So I like A-Chain too. I kind of always feel like maybe Waller has an impact, maybe he doesn't. But Tyreek Hill, Jaden Waddle, A-Chain, right? When they were getting hot, not last year but the year before, they had like the fastest guys in the NFL, and it was like Tyreek Hill, A-Chain, Tyreek Hill, A-Chain, like when they were like clocking them on speed on the field. And then like Waddle was like, it was crazy, right? So it was almost like one of those greatest shows on turf. They don't play on turf, but it was one of those feelings you were getting with them that maybe they were going to be like the Rams with Marshall Faulk, Isaac Bruce, and Torrey Holt. And it just never happened because Tua can't play in the cold weather. Maybe that changes. Who knows? But all right. So we have Nico Collins. What do you say about Nico? Blah, blah, blah.
I mean, I've always been big on Nico, man. And he keeps getting drafted higher and higher. And I know I had him at a great value last year. And he looked all of the part. He came out and he was incredible before he got hurt. He was definitely leading the league on yards per catch, like everything, right? He had yardage, bombs. He was catching tutties, everything. I do think that they're missing some pieces. Obviously, injuries are hurting them. They did get Chubb with that backfield. They still got a running game. Nico Collins is going to eat, bro. Taking him that high, I'm not thrilled about. I don't know if I want him that high. He's like a guy that you kind of hope falls to you. Honestly, if you're at the top of the draft where you are, he's got a really good chance to come back to you, like on that bubble on the comeback around for the first end. I think that he's a definite 12 touchdown guy this year. I think he eclipses 1,200 yards, and he's got 80 catches in him. I think he's a stud.
Yeah, I think 80 catches for him would be a little bit of a disappointment, right? Because no Tank Dell, no Stephon Diggs.
It's just he gets such a high average per target is all I'm saying. He's like more – I would love for him to actually become like the security blanket guy because he is so big, but it just seems like he hasn't been that yet,
We got
that's why they still have their tight end like Dalton Schultz, right?
Yeah, we got 55 people in the building right now, guys. Please like and subscribe. Thanks for listening. We're just talking fantasy football. We'll keep going. Back to Nico Collins.
Would you take him on the turnaround for you? Because you're at 4.
Yeah.
He's going to be realistically right in your bubble.
Yeah, if he dropped to 20, I'd be ecstatic.
So you could get Jahmyr Gibbs, Nico Collins.
Then
you would get a –
yeah, that would be amazing. I would be shocked if he falls to 20. I do like Nico over AJ Brown, right? And that's kind of like that's the big decision that everyone's
You like Nico over Brian Thomas?
I like Nico over Brian Thomas too. I just think, we all know that the Bucs offensive coordinator, right, went to Jacksonville. That he's going to fix the Trevor Lawrence situation a little bit, but
do you think Neighbors drops before we just get too far down?
Yeah,
because everyone's got penciled in as a top 10 pick, and he's going to get all this volume, and his like actual quarterbacking should be better than last year, is what everyone's saying. So there's some progression there. Do you think he goes ham again?
As a Giant fan, I think Neighbors takes a little bit of a step back. If Jameis Winston was quarterback in that team, he gets 150 catches. And I mean, Jameis Winston made Jerry Jeudy a top 10 wide receiver the last 10 games of the year, right? But
Yeah.
I just don't feel good about, yeah, Bagurk, I think so too. You can guarantee whoever TJ picks will be the best player ever. Hey, you couldn't have said it. Couldn't have said it better than that, Jeff. But I think
Starting running back.
yeah, number one running. But anyways, starting running back for the Philadelphia Eagles. Yeah, so anyways, I think that Neighbors with Russell Wilson, I don't like it. I think that Neighbors will do his thing, but Russell Wilson is where fantasy wide receivers go to die. And
So
I'm
you
not
don't think that it's going to be just like the Neighbors show anymore, right?
as a Giant fan, it hurts to say that. Now everyone can say, well, if Daniel Jones did it, can Russell Wilson do it? Russell Wilson is a below average pocket quarterback, and Neighbors is an amazing receiver.
You got Tyrone Tracy and Cam Scottaboo. I love Cam Scottaboo.
Yeah.
Not the fastest. He's just a ball player. We talk about those guys. He falls under the high engine or he's got good football mind. Every time you watched him in college, he was just making plays. I love Cam on your team, right?
Yeah, I think it's going to be like a Rex Burkhead vibe for him. He's going to get a lot of down and outs, and he's going to fight for extra yardage, and he's going to be a good short yardage back.
Kind of crazy. They're being drafted neck and neck too, and I know we're not that far down the draft.
Crazy. I think that's Tyrone Tracy's job. We always want to call him Tony Tracy. I hope the baby.
Of course we do.
Shout out to Rebecca Seeger and Tony. But I think
baby.
I think that we're bouncing around a little bit, but I think that Tyrone Tracy, that's his job to lose. And yeah, Scottaboo will have.
Well, it all comes off of Neighbors, and that's where it comes from, right? Because he's what other Giants pick are we going to be able to talk about in fantasy? It's going to be relevant this high up the board. It's Malik Neighbors.
Yeah. I just hope that Jackson Dart or Winston get behind center as quick as possible. The Giants have Murderer's Row as a schedule, so we're not expecting big things. But I just hope that we keep Dayball. I hope we keep our GM, and I hope we could just move forward with a little bit of a vision in mind. The Giants' vision right now doesn't look good. Let's go from AJ Brown. We want to talk about. What do you think about Jonathan Taylor and Josh Jacobs?
We haven't even mentioned John Taylor yet. Jonathan Taylor definitely back in first round pick. He's going right in that 8 to 10 bubble. People have been taking him around 9 consistently.
Yeah, he's going.
I know that nobody's sold on Richardson, right? Nobody's sold on Richardson.
No.
I think that's a very scary thing. Everybody on their team is down, and when it comes to fantasy ratings and evaluations, other than Jonathan Taylor, I thought he was so meddling last year, and I know that our buddy Mr. Schneider was just he was such a cluster last year. He was so hard to start, and you had to start him every year or every week. I think he breaks out of that this year. I think he comes out thumping. He's obviously got 2,000-yard potential. He could be RB1. He's got that kind of lead, elite speed and power, and he's precision when it hits the holes. I love everything Jonathan Taylor does. I could definitely see him balling, and I think he goes underrated because he could outperform the likes of a CMC. He could outperform the likes of a Saquon. I mean, he's right there in the same category, and he's going at the back end. If he falls at 10, he's definitely in. I haven't even seen him fall to 10 yet, just to let you know. So people are definitely going up the board on Jonathan Taylor.
Mike Clay has him at 17, 18. He had 2 really bad years in 2022 and 2023, horrible years. Last year, he bounced back, hit almost 1,500 yards and 11 touchdowns.
And that was a very underwhelming 1,500 yards, 11 touchdowns. But he won. He knocked me out of the playoffs last year.
Big games, right?
He knocked me out of the playoffs last year. He showed up when you needed him most. If you could make the playoffs, he balled out last year in the playoffs.
Yeah. So you like Jonathan Taylor over Josh Jacobs?
I like Jonathan Taylor over Josh Jacobs. I like Jonathan Taylor over Devon Achane.
Wow. Okay. All right. So now 2 tight ends are coming off the board at 19 and 20. Brock Bowers and Trey McBride. I've actually also seen Kittle up in this 20 to 25 range too, because, no Debo. Purdy loves Kittle.
Kittle is a good value. He's always so consistent. I think Bowers definitely eats again. I don't know if he can do the same prolific thing, obviously. But Genty gives him that extra space that you want. And they have such an underrated number one in Jacoby Myers, just always flying under the radar, right? You definitely you like Bowers there. I will say, if there's anybody who's going to de-seed him from the number one, I think it is Trey McBride. I think he's the dude. I think the offense continues to grow through him. And I thought they tried to put a lot on Harrison last year, and it just for whatever reasons didn't work. They kept running him out on all the X routes or all the deep plays instead of running them through the middle. We saw there's a lot of advanced metrics that were talking to like some befuddlement with the way his usage was just off. I think they fixed that. And I think because of that, I think McBride helps that. And I think you get another good year from Connor. I think he's serviceable. I won't draft him, but somebody else will. And they'll get a good, run from Connor again this year. But I think McBride finishes top 3 tight end guaranteed. Book it.
I'm going to ask you this. Over under, how many touchdowns has Trey McBride had in the last 2 years?
Oh my gosh, like what, 4?
5.
5. Okay, yeah. Not a lot. I knew it was low. And I think that's why he's such a sexy candidate this year. I think he gets more than 5 this year alone.
Top 20? That's a risky pick for a top 20.
Sure. I mean, I'm not taking him. I have my own value in tight end who I think is unbelievable, and I'm not touching any of these tight ends top. You make your bed with how you want to build your team in fantasy, and I think this year you're going to see a lot of running back receivers for me early, and then I'll combo late with tight end quarterback. It's not like it's some amazing – oh, lost it. Yeah, sorry. It's not like it's some amazing new strategy. You're going to have so many tight ends and quarterbacks that are going to be late this year. The people who are enamored with the names and the sexy production up top are going to sacrifice the depth of their team. And that's always what it comes down to, is whoever has the healthiest depth at the end of the year. And I will build running back and receiver, and I will take sexy tight ends down low. I couldn't, after taking a good pick, I took Kelsey in the 4th round last year, and I tried to go for it. I was really hoping it's a renaissance, especially with their receiving core. Obviously he did not perform to the expectations and levels, and that completely turns me off a tight end. Now, that being said, if a tight end falls into your lap, he falls into your lap. But I don't think any of these top guys are going to fall into your lap at all.
Geno Smith with Brock Bowers too. I just don't know about that.
Yeah, Geno Smith, can he feed somebody like Brock Bowers was fed last year?
Yeah. All right, let's go.
Do you think Geno Smith has the capability to throw 4,000 yards this year? That's a lot for him, right?
I just don't really trust him, and I don't know. I mean, Bowers did it.
He's going to be an undrafted quarterback. You know what I mean?
Yeah, Bowers did it with a lot less at quarterback last year. They kind of said Geno Smith historically doesn't really throw to tight ends, but I mean, he's the best player on the field, right? So you're going to throw to him. That Raiders situation will be interesting. We'll check it out. I'm scared to take a tight end this early because
I'm taking everybody else around him. When you start listing other receivers and running backs around him, I'll take any of them.
And that's what I'm saying. So listen to this. After Brock Bowers and Trey McBride, you have Bucky.
What's up, Becky Seeger? I know you're over there hanging out with Cade. Make sure you get him to listen in. He can win your league this year.
Yeah. Heisman Trophy candidate, Cade Matthew Tracy. You heard it here first.
He's going to be the next player from the NFL Major League Baseball combo. You know?
2040. So we have Bucky Irving after Trey McBride and Brock Bowers. Bucky Irving, Drake London, Kyron Williams, James Cook. I'm taking all those guys over.
Yeah, and I really like Kyron. He's going to get the workhorse volume again, and Corum is just not cutting into that. And with Puka and Devontae Adams, he's going to have some sneaky 3-touchdown games. I love Bucky. I love Bucky this year. Like he just stole that backfield from Rashad White. Yeah. He went in there, made it his bitch. He's going to ball out this year. Baker loves him. The team loves him. The scheme loves him. Bucky's having a big year. I think he's somebody who you got to value outside of the top 5 guys who could definitely make it in a top 5. I would take any of them 100%. And you said James Cook. I'm kind of nervous about James Cook. All those touchdowns last year.
Yeah.
He had a good amount of rushing. Everyone says that they're going to crown him this year. Like Ray Davis is still in that backfield. He is still going to be in that backfield. And I believe it is a committee. Now, maybe it's not a 50-50 committee. Maybe it's a 60-40 committee. But I see Ray Davis is going to be in there a lot on third down.
Yeah.
And he's going to be a lot in there in passing situations. They're going to continue to find ways to get him the ball. And then you still got Josh Allen. And then you got these two tight ends. Kincaid is going, I think if you look him up, bro, 130th. You remember Kincaid last year. He took the drop off. He's another one of those tight ends that I love as a comeback. They got him and Knox, right? I mean, they just Keon Coleman, Khalil Shakir. There's so many weapons. I don't know how James Cook finds the same productivity because I think that they try to find a way to get Keon Coleman more involved this year. I think he's supposed to take the step forward. I think Kincaid gets more involved. It's just less work for Cook.
Yeah, I think that I do like James Cook, but it's scary if it is a little bit of a committee with Josh Allen still poaching touchdowns, right? So
I
it's
love
like,
James Cook for his value. I just feel like he continues to creep up the board. And
okay,
that's
so let me
obviously because he's successful, but it's like he's great at the value. I don't know if I want to pay the premium for James Cook.
all right, let me tell you this. I'm going to ask this. Bucky Irving, Kyron Williams, James Cook, and Chase Brown. What order are you drafting those guys?
I think if I'm telling you right now, I think it goes, man, and it's going to be close, but I'm telling you, Bucky, Chase. So Bucky Irving, Chase Brown, and then Kyron Williams. And Kyron Williams could easily fit right in between. You could get ahead of him, but I like Bucky 1, Chase Brown 2, Kyron 3, James Cook 4.
James Cook 4, yeah. So I mean, this is all like
I think Chase Brown, another great year, explodes this year.
Yeah,
just like goes nuts. He showed us everything. He's a 3-down back, and in that offense, they just find so much wiggle room for him. It's crazy.
And like, yeah, imagine like if you're a defense and like, all right, you have Jamar Chase and you have T. Higgins and you got kind of, and like, I think it's Gesicki still their tight end, and you're kind of get those guys locked up, and then you hit Chase Brown a little down and out. He catches it and goes for 13, and you're just like, Jesus, like there's a lot to think about. And Joe Burrow, I'm gonna look it up really quick. How many catches do you think Chase Brown had last year?
Off the top of my head, and I do not know this, I'm gonna say 65, 75.
All right, let me
and I think he's got the potential for 80 to 90. Like he could definitely get cooking. Like he could catch 5 to 6 a game. Like no problem.
Yeah, he had 54 receptions.
It's close.
4 touchdowns receiving. And
that was kind of a slow start. He really developed throughout the year.
Think about that. He only started 10 games. So if you want to go by what you just said, let's just do 1.5 that. He would be at 75 to 80 catches, like you just said,
right,
if he started all 17 games. And that's actually a little bit of a low ball too. So, yeah, I mean, that would be kind of crazy if he's 1,000-yard rusher, which is very possible. He had 990 last year, starting 10 games. Yep. So let's just say he gets 1,200 rushing and 80 yards.
Him and Bucky. If you went in fantasy, and I know it's always about one of the sexier things. I've seen like zero running back, hero running back, whatever. If you go wide receiver heavy and you grab 3 studs, and you're coming back on the downturn, you have the ability to grab a Chase Brown for your first running back.
He's going to be there. He's not
he could be your third. Maybe you only get 2 receivers, and you go receiver, and you could get him as your third.
Yeah,
that's amazing for your first running back, right?
Yeah, you're right.
Take Chase Brown, take Bucky as your number 1, and you could easily parlay that into something nice. That's a great way to build your receiving core and have good value in your running back. He's going to be a top 10 back.
I agree. I think we can kind of wrap it up there. The next wave kind of goes. That's when the quarterbacks start coming off the board. I'm going to tell you this.
Which I'm not touching. I'm not touching any of them.
Yeah, I'm debating because I think
Josh Allen is the only one, right? Are you looking at Josh Allen? Is that why?
25 to 30, there's 4 quarterbacks taken from 25 to 30. with
Yeah.
Michael. It's Josh
Jalen
Allen.
Hurts, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, Jaden Daniels.
Yep. Yep. Not in that order, but those are the four, right?
Right. Those are the four. And Jaden Daniels is just he's up there, right? He's like second off the board.
I'm kind of
third
surprised.
off the board. It's like
Burrow.
Allen, Daniels, Lamar.
Yeah, I have Joe Burrow ahead of Jaden Daniels.
And he's well below. You're getting Joe Burrow in the 5th right now.
Yeah, Mike Clay has him at the 40th pick.
Right. So he's got him a little bit higher from where I've been seeing him go in mocks so far.
Tyreek Hill's going 31st. Devontae Adams.
I've seen Tyreek Hill. I've been getting Tyreek Hill as my 3rd. If I've gotten Ginty and Henry, Tyreek Hill.
Yeah, that's amazing, right?
That's crazy, right?
It was weird how hard he fell off last year, though. It was weird. It was like really weird.
Well, no Tua.
Yeah, but Tua played last year.
I mean, are you saying that it's weird because of the way they just schemed him out and just went to Jonnu?
They just couldn't really get him the ball.
Do you think it's because Tua doesn't have an arm to get him the ball?
Yeah, I think Tua.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I'm like, I know that Tua plays, but like, we know that Tua's not bombing it. Tua's got to get the ball out in 0.2 seconds. He wants to get it out even faster, by the way. This is on record. Tua wants to get the ball out even faster. He's already one of the fastest in the league getting the ball out. He wants it out even faster. So if you're going to throw Tyreek Hill the ball, you have to like literally hike and just throw it in order to get him the ball with enough space.
Yeah, Tyreek Hill had 81 catches for almost 1,000 yards. Now, Tua obviously missed some time, but I just think, I think Tyreek Hill bounces back.
I think he completely bounces back. I think we talked about it. Him, Waddle, and A-Chain, man. I think Tyreek Hill going that late is a very good steal, and you're not going to get him at this end of his prime ever again at this value. This is the last value for Tyreek Hill, right? Because he probably blows up and outproduces his value this year, and then if anybody pays up for him next year, it probably declines.
Yeah. All right, we can wrap it up and we'll bounce back next week, maybe like 25 to 30. We'll re-talk about
as a wrap up, one last thing, my friends, Major League Baseball, there's a home run derby that is going to be going on. Back. You got Cal Riley, you got James Wood, Junior Caminero, Byron Buxton, Brent Rooker, Matt Olson, Jazz Chisholm Jr., and O'Neal Cruz. What do you think about the lineup? You think it's lacking punch? I mean, I know O'Neal Cruz is a beast. Matt Olson replaced Acuna. That's kind of tough. Brent Rooker, we know, hits bombs. Just plays for the A's. Doesn't get a lot of notoriety, right? Byron Buxton just hit for the cycle. He just balled out. Junior Caminero, big dude. He's been a prospect for the Rays. James Wood for the Nationals. Cal Riley actually approaching Barry Bonds-esque numbers through the first half of the year.
Oh, it's crazy.
Yeah, Cal Riley is a force to be reckoned with and was an undrafted player in all fantasy baseball leagues. Kind of nuts.
The home run derby will be fun to watch. It'll, kind of bring some new names into the spotlight. Like obviously hardcore MLB fans, we know these names, but it'll bring some fun names into it. That isn't Judge or Stanton or one of those. But I was really excited to see Acuna. I'm bummed he dropped out, but back tightness. You can't take any chances. Acuna's your big star, so I don't blame him for that. Matt Olson kind of has that little lefty like kind of fun swing that I can see him getting hot. I do like. Do you
like the home run derby setup? How it's the minutes now and not the outs, and then you get bonuses for distance.
Yeah, I love the bonus
and the play for it. I think they're doing a better job making it more entertaining, right?
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of the time thing because it just seems like bop, bop. I like the 10 outs, but I do like the distance thing. So I wish I'd go back to 10 outs, but still give the bonuses for distance.
I know you said last week that you don't like the fact there isn't enough on the line. Like you liked it whenever they were kind of playing for home field advantage and whatnot. Yeah. Do you think that they should go back to that?
They never will, right? It's just now it's
just too much weighted on other random occurrences, right?
Yep, it's solely an exhibition thing now. But I'm excited to watch it. It'll be it'll be fun.
Man.
We got 4 days, but it'll be fun. But
next week we got one more NFL division to break down, and that is going to be the West, AFC and NFC West. We'll talk about that and any other happenings, but it's just going to be a countdown to football. I believe we're in the 40s when it comes to days left. It's going to be a very exciting next few weeks. We'll continue to talk about draft strategy. We'll hit that next bubble from like the 20 to 40 range next week with those little spots, and we'll talk some more, man. But it's great to see you. I hope you have a great trip. Thank you very much, everybody. Like, subscribe, blast us out, man. Get us out.
Thanks for listening, guys. Have a great week.
Prop Stars. Peace. Hey, everybody, come and see how good we did. We did really